Suddenly my connection was down. Suddenly, the line is. But anyway, all right. So if you cannot hear, then you give me some message, huh? Okay. But anyway, I will try to give you the lectures for last week first. So, supposedly you have already go through this part in the Dr. Yasin reports, but I think better I give you again for my explanation. All right. So I will also text the report for this note. Okay. All right. So again, it is the SEMO3133 optional structure. Okay. I would like to give you some lecture on the first week, which is the introduction part of the sheet of also. Okay, hello. Sorry. I'm not sure why my connection is not very stable. No. Okay, can you hear me, right? Okay, so the gateway is the connections for the is the connections, huh? For the um personnel managed to go through from the left side to from one side to another side. Okay, all right. But because of the offshore structures will subject to the wave energy. The wave is come from ocean and the ocean wave. So the wave and the wind.
Doctor, are you showing the screen? Because we cannot see the screen.
Oh yes, yes. I showing the screen. Okay, give me one moment to troubleshoot my internet problem. Oh, sorry, I think that suddenly down and not very stable. So that okay. Sorry. I need to stop recording. Okay, class. So I need to check record again. Sorry. I think the internet line is not very stable for my side. So if you suddenly cannot hear lots of noise, you need to let me know. Okay. I cannot see the type because I put in the full screen, so I cannot see any checkbox. So you need to turn on your mic and let me know. Okay, thank you. All right. So again, from here we can see this is a combination of the offshore and ship offshore structure. And normally we have the so-called the floating structure, and the right-hand side is the offshore structure, and the left-hand side is another unit in them as so-called the tender assisted drilling units, right? So these can all together to be considered as offshore structure, offshore structure. Okay, and beside the offshore structure, we also have the ship structure as well. All right. Um, Normally, the structure will subjected to the loadings, or the loading we name as so-called external environment thing, which come from the web, wind, and also the sea current. Okay, the current is from the bottom. All right. Okay, I cannot change the color yet. Okay. Anyway, you know that the forces from uh the forces from the external loads, right, which is come from the wave, wind, and currents, will affected to the structure. Okay, will affected to the structure, and they will make the parts is come from this group is named as so called the external loads. Okay, external loading. Okay, the external loadings will affected to the offshore structure. Okay, so as you know, that's from if you still remember your what's the vibrations, right? So in the mechanical vibration, you have the very typical formula is AS divided by dt m plus b, and it is ds divided by dt, right? Then plus k x, right, equals to fp. Right? So this is the equation of motion, right? In the mechanics of vibration. Have you learned this? Right? Have you learned it in the mechanics of vibration? I believe yes. Huh? So if you say no, then there will be a very significant issue. Okay. So yes, okay, this is a foundation for the mechanical vibration. So that means the wind wave and currents or external loading force that contribute to the Fs here, Ft here. Okay, this is the FT. All right, and then the vibration itself. So vibration that happens on the ship and offshore structure. Okay, which in fact is the S. Is in the S. Okay, the S. But the S is the vibration. However, the S with respect to the time is the velocity. Is also the velocity of the vibration or change rate of the vibration. And double S, in fact, is the acceleration. Okay, but you can say it is a vibration response, second derivative of the vibration response as well. So that's why the S here is not a single value, but in fact it is the differential equation. It is one differential equation. Okay, differential equation. Because the value of the S in the first derivative and the second derivative must be solved all together. Okay, so that is the reasons why for the mechanic of machines, so the mechanic of vibration equation, the equation is very important. Okay, in the ship and offshore structure too, we the mechanical vibration is one of the prerequisites for your for this subject. That's why I believe you already passed the subject, and that's why that is your prerequisite, and you already have some basic knowledge on this equation. All right. So the offshore ship and offshore structure itself has some very interesting mechanism. So that's why we try to have some introductions, okay, to let you know what is the offshore structure and ship structure could looks like. Huh? All right. Um, maybe you do not have seen very similar structure before, or maybe you already seen the similar structure before, but just go through. Okay, so for example, this is one structure and for a container ship, for a container ship. So normally we are looking for, when we look for the strips, right? So normally we look for three segments, three parts. Okay, the first part is the so normally we look for three segments. So if I want to simple to draw the line, so the line will simulate something like this. Okay. So okay. So the first part is named as so-called the four part. Four part. Four part is the um front part as well. So-called front. But in fact, the actual word is the so-called the front part. Okay, you can see my screen, right? Then the second part, also in our concern is the stern part. Okay, or sometimes we can say is after. Okay, stern or after. Go stern, this means go to the back side. Okay, or upside. Okay, so the upside we have some very typical or famous part is something like this. Can check. One is what is rudder, then two is a propeller. So that means for the rudder and propeller, there is very important mechanism of the ship structure, which is relevant with the what? With the propulsion system, propulsion maneuvering system. So plus maneuvering system, the mechanism, all is in the up to control. Okay. Rudder is one, and also the propeller. So propeller is even the propulsion system. Okay, and on the opposite, for the four parts, the one it made us feel interesting is the bubble burst, the bubble spout, which is the in the four part. Okay, the bubble burst is the part to cut the water. Okay, sometimes we will also install something in the bubble spout as well, something like the radar sonar, so on and so forth. Okay. Then the other part, right, is as you can see, this is the container ship, right? Because this is a container ship, that means the major function of this ship is to transfer the container uh, in the marine transport. Okay, this is a one container, right? One container. Okay, the container. Okay, why container is important? Because your when you make the order from the Shopee or from the Lazada, right? You check, okay, in shipping, okay, if they really ship from overseas, so that means your your orders is inside the container. Okay, so that's why marine transportation is very important. Marine transportation is very important for our global economies. Okay, because most of the products, most of the so-called the commercial goods are transport via the containers. Okay, but I said commercial goods, which is something like the so-called the small one, the so-called the electrical component. Uh, but if this is in the so-called raw material, for example, the very big one, but such as the metals or the coal, ore, so the raw material will be transported in other way of the ship structure. Okay, so all right, and the middle one is normally we will say it is something like the midship section. Midship or mid section. Mid midship or mid section. Okay. Sure. Okay. All right. So for the container ships, normally not only container ship, but most of the ship we will try to divide it into these three sections. Okay. So let's move to the next one. Okay, the next one is also another container ship. So now you can see quickly for the where is the four part? What is the front? So the four part is here. Okay, and then the up part is the behind, and then the middle one is the midship section. Okay, so as you can see, they have installed some lots of the containers, lots of the containers, okay, in the lots of the containers, okay, in the ships. Okay. Now, okay, before we go to another type of ship structure, maybe I can ask you, do you know, can you name some port in Malaysia, which is used to serve for the container ship? Any idea? My question is, among in Malaysia, they have a lot of the ports, right? So can you name some port in Malaysia, which is the so-called the container, is the port to handle the container ship? Huh? Any idea?
PTP.
PTP,
Tanjung
yes.
Pepas,
PTP, yes. And
Kelang.
port plant. Okay, port plant is most important, right? Okay. Okay. Port plant and PTP, okay, are container ship. They in fact their main business is to receive the container ships. And also if you look for the PSA in Singapore, they also receive for the container ships. Okay. But in certain ports, right, they do not they do not uh, serve the container ship, but they will serve other types of the ships. Like I say, maybe they serve for the oil and gas. So the cargo was not the cargo. Okay, how to say? Cargo is the material, or is the commercial uh, product, transport by the ships, is cargoes, or cargo freight. So the cargoes for the container ship definitely is a container. So in Malaysia, we have such like the Portland, Tanjung Belepas. It's very these two port is very so it's also the world class containers port. World class lah. So if you check Portland, I think it's a world around. Sometimes it's in the top 10s, but I think right now it's around say 12 to 16, around that range. Okay, for the container ship. Okay. But for the Bengaran is another. Bengaran there is for the liquid parts. So later we can see what types of the liquid parts ship like. Okay, so we go to the next one. Okay, this is another type of the ships, but as you can see, this is not the container. Okay, so this one we name as so-called multi-purpose. Okay, multi-purpose that can be from here you can see this one maybe is not very familiar in Malaysia, but if in certain country they have some so-called inland waterway transport. Inland waterway transport. Okay. In certain country, if they have a very heavy inland waterway transport, that means the transportation is not on the ocean going, but it's not on the sea going, but it's just in between so-called from one river to from the upstream to the downstream, or from the downstream to the upstream. Okay, for a long river transport, say Mississippi's, into the China what's is what the Yangtze rivers in the Thailand is something like the Chao Phraya. So if you look for in fact in Malaysia also Rajang, Sungai Rajang. So you probably will see some ships. The length is around normally is less than 100 meter, less than 100 meter length. So, but this ship is so-called multi-purposes because they're used to transport different types of the cargo, different types of the cargo. Okay, so as you can see, in in China, they also have a very similar like the ships like this one. So, but the compartment, so compartment is the what? Compartment is the space, like this one, it's something like the compartment. Okay, the compartment is used to transport different types of the cargoes. From here, I think is they have something like the textiles. Okay, but in fact, they also have they can be very very different. So if you look for the 15 is so-called 15 is what is so-called bulk cargo. Bulk cargo, if you go to the 15 here, okay, that can be looks like what? like the chemical powders, for example, chemical powders, but there is transport not in the well packed one, but it's in the bulk volumes. So that means it's in the huge volumes, in the huge volume. Okay. And you can see that it's not only transport for the bulk cargo, but they can transport for many other different kind of the goods. All right. So this is so-called multi-purposes because they can use to transport many things. Okay. All right. Then we go to a more typical one in Malaysia and also probably in Indonesia region is the passenger ferries. Car ferries. Yeah, we have car ferry. Okay. Where is our car ferry service? Any idea? Car ferry, car and passenger ferries. Okay. Siapa kat Langkawi, siapa kat Penang, siapa tahu okay. Langkawi and Penang, right? We have the ferries over there. Okay. Uh, but you see this ferry, it looks like very luxurious. Okay. This is a luxurious ferries because similar ferry we also have the ferry in the so-called Mediterranean. That means it's in the Europe regions. Okay. So it looks like okay, amazing, But similar ferry we also have in where in United States, in New York, okay. I have been in New York for a few summers where I was studying in US, right? So every summer where got opportunity, I will be in New York, uh, and and I like to take the ferries, I like to take the ferries from from the from one side to another side. I don't know. Uh, from the place close to they have the ferry terminal close to the where to the area of the World Trade Center. World Trade Center. Okay, the Twin Tower lah. The New York Twin Tower. Yeah, there is an incident of 911. Okay. And the ferry was transferred from the New York to the Staten Island. Okay, and then they will go back. Okay, so the ferry also is the passenger ferry and also the car ferry. Okay, but in Malaysia we have also the Penang is the car ferry. Car ferry will be in the bottom one, right? Bottom side is a car, and passenger ferry normally is slightly higher lah. Okay, but Penang ferry is slightly it's very edge one. All right. But ferry has a very unique system because what's the propeller system? Okay, from here you cannot see the good propeller system because from this, so what I mean is from this figure, right? If you look for the propeller system 1, 2, 3, so you will see what you will see the ferry such as the Baker rudder, controllable pitch propeller, steam sweeps. Okay, but in the Penang ferry, if you look for the ferry in the Penang, right? So or Pulau Pinang, so our propeller system, is very very advanced. Okay. Ferry is old, but the propeller system is advanced. That means we use what? We use vertical propeller. We use vertical propeller, Okay. And this this arrangement definitely is a traditional propeller. It's a traditional propeller system. And this is what is horizontal propeller. Because the layout is in the horizontal side, which it has one rudder, and behind the rudder you have some propeller. Okay, and the propeller was connected to a shaft, and the shaft was connected back in the main engine inside the engine room. So you will see the engine room is here, right? 567. 567 is the engine room, right? Up engine rooms with the gearbox, and also forward engine rooms with 1 to 4 man engine. Okay, so 567 is the engine room part. So the engine room will connect to a long shaft, and the long shaft will have the okay, the long shaft will have the bearing, support by the bearing, and the bearing will try to use to rotate the propeller. Uh, this part is give a thrust to move the propeller, and the rudder will move to control the direction. Okay, so it is the typical traditional horizontal propulsion system. Okay, however, in our Pinnings ferry, we use vertical propulsion system. So if you go to check the Google, you will see that the Pinning propeller system is very interesting because it is a vertical propeller. Okay, we also have another very interesting types of the propeller system is so-called ported propulsion. Ported propeller, but normally we will have so-called ported propulsion because the propulsion system. Ported propeller or ported propulsion system is we already combine the rudders, we combine the rudder and the propeller. Okay, so the rudder will the propeller will be managed to rotate will about one axis so that the propeller itself can play as the function of the rudder. Okay, so maybe you will ask me now why now, because we already have the so-called ported propeller, we have the vertical propeller, but the horizontal propeller is still the main so-called, this is still in the dominant system in the market. Okay. They have some reason. Okay. Anyway, but if you look for the so-called some warship, especially the warship, if they need the very so-called very fast reactions, manage to do the rotations at very small turning radius, right? So normally they will use what? They will use vertical propulsion system. Okay, vertical propulsion system. That's why our ferry is very they managed to do the turning in the small radius. Okay, so that's why I say the propulsion system is very advanced. But you see the structure looks like, oh, but the system is very advanced. Okay, Pinning and Langkawi system. Okay, okay. So we go to the next one. Okay, the next one also is very relevant with our Malaysian business. Okay, this is also what the chemical tanker. The tanker. Tanker is what? Tanker. Tanker is not tank, bukan tank, okay, tank. Okay, tank ada masuknya lah. Okay, tanker is the ship to transport hydrocarbon, hydrocarbon or chemical. Chemical is say for example what gas, petrol, hydrocarbons, hydrocarbon in fact is what petroleum lah, in other words, or we say crude oil, crude oil. Crude oil. Crude oil means the oil before we send to the petrochemical post processing, the crude oil. Okay, so chemical tanker or the tanker is, you can see the structure is very interesting. So they have a lot of the compartment. They have a lot of the compartment. This compartment, say you go to 15, okay, 15 and 16, okay. Say 15, okay. If you go to 15 and 16, you see there is so-called the bulkhead, the bulkhead. Bulkhead is what? Bulkheads or BHD, okay, bulkheads is the compartment which is already fully isolated. Okay, fully isolated. Normally, the bulkheads is used to isolate the liquid from one location to another location. That means it's a full, it's a so-called, it's a full tank. It's a tank. Okay, it's a tank. Okay, tanks compartments. So it is a bulkheads. Okay, so that means that the oil or the hydrocarbons will be pumped inside each tank here. Okay, they have many tanks. And you can see from the 18 and 19 is what? Is the pump, okay, 17, 18, 19, okay? It is a pump, it's a catwalk, definitely it's a catwalk, right? Okay. So where is it? As you can see, 17 is the pump. Okay, anyway, I cannot see clearly 17 here. But anyway, you can see they have a lot of piping. I would like to say is lots of the piping on the deck of the ships. And this they have a lot of the piping or pipeline. Okay, how we say is piping, pipeline. A lot of the pipings on the deck surface. Okay, in the tank deck surface. Oh yeah, on the deck, ship deck. Okay. So another very interesting one is you can see 13 and 14 part here. Okay. What does it mean? It is called double bottom tank. Double bottoms. Okay. Maybe you heard double bottom before, right? Have you heard this one before? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 It's for what? Double bottom is for what?
To prevent the water from entering the compartment when the ship rosak.
When the ship was when the ship leakage, right? Okay. You know why? Because okay, I know you already in the group. You know okay, you okay. I need to talk some story lah. A long time story, but I hope this story is not so boring story. Okay. You know you all was born you all of you born when 2000 plus.
2000.
Oh, really? You're already the new generation. Because my student, okay, myself was born 1980 plus, basket, okay, sikit je, okay. So, wow, I'm not so old. Okay, and you know, during the area of 1970 plus to 1990 plus, they have a lot of the incidents of oil leakage or oil spill. And the oil spill was caused by the rounding or the leakage or the rosa or the brokens of the tanker. Okay, so when the oil spill from the tanker, then will make the oil to leak out and polluted the regions, polluted the coastal area regions. So they have a lot of the news, you know, during that time. Okay, the reason is the original designs for the tanker, in fact, they are not use double bottom hull, they just use single layer, single bottom. Okay, that means single layer only. So that means when anything happens, say grounding or anything, any damage on the surface, that will make the oil to leak out. Oil will be leak out and spill over and make the pollution. Okay, so IMO and but especially is from the US Coast Guard lah. US Coast Guard makes the regulation say all of the tanker which carry the hydrocarbons need to be double bottom up when they're operated in in the US territory or US water. Okay, then IMO also step by step they try to do some regulation. They try to do some regulation. Up to certain year, they need to be all of the ships to be built with double bottom hull for the tanker. Okay, so that's why until recently we very difficult. I cannot say it, but anyway, until recently it's already not become a very common issue for the oil spill from the tanker. Okay, so that could be improvement of the shipbuilding industry when we try to convert or we want to transfer the tanker structure from the single hull to the double bottom hull. Okay. Um. All right. Okay. Is it any other interesting thing to know? Okay. But double bottom hull is not the new design, you know. Double bottom hull is not the new design. But they just recently implemented. So recently it's recent 30 years. Implemented for the tanker. However, the inventions of double bottom heart is not really, it's not a new design. So they can up to when? Up to the design of double bottom heart can up to 1998 plus to 1990 plus 1980s and 1890s ini siapa belum lahir siapa belum lahir lah. Okay. Okay. That is during the area, the steel ships already have the double bottom hull. Okay. Steel ships they already, some of the ships have already used double bottom hull. Okay. I think Titanic do not use it. Titanic do not use it. Okay. But Titanic has a bulkhead, you know. Titanic has a bulkhead. Okay. Bulkhead is what? It's something like the compartments to prevent the waters, right, from especially in the emergency conditions, from to prevent the waters to move in until all of the ships lost all buoyancy. So that means a bulkhead is something like the isolated one by one. Okay, Titanic ships has the bulkheads, but because of the damage area is too large, so Titanic, I think the damage up to, I think something like probably damage, like the damage for the Titanic is so large until the bulkheads lost buoyancy as well. Okay, and in others, I think before that, in 15th centuries, right, they already have some wood ships was built with the bulkheads. So that is also quite old technologies, but recently that can be used to fully enhance the modern shipbuilding. Okay. All right, so we go to the next one. This one is more interesting. This one is the also tanker, but this tanker is LNG tanker, right? Yeah, this is LNG tanker. Okay. Got LNG? Oh, I have another LNG. Oh, okay, that one, yeah. This is the LNG tanker. Okay, so this is a chemical tanker or hydrocarbon tankers, but this one is more like, it looks like more to the LNG tanker, LNG. Okay. Malaysia is the oil production country, you know. You all know, right? Because we have Petronas, right? Okay. Okay. Geography question. Miri is for, Bintulu is for, okay. Bintulu, okay. Miri normally is for petroleum, okay? And Bintulu normally is for LNG, right? Okay. What is LNG? LNG stands for what?
Liquid natural gas.
Liquid about liquefy. Liquefy maksudnya apa? That means we try to compress the gas from the gas form to liquid form. To liquid form. So that means dia bukan diairkan tapi dia dipentaliukan. Dipentaliukan. Okay. So that means we liquefy the gas. But how do we manage to liquefy it? Okay. So for the natural gas, for the natural gas, okay, we need to maintain it in the very, very low temperature. How low is low? Can you guess? How low is low temperature? Yes, very low. How low is low? Okay. Minus
60.
what? Ini cukup lah. Cukup. Gas you need to liquefy the gas something like that. Okay. They need to compress up to -1, I think 163, if I'm not mistaken, but 160 plus degrees Celsius minus, okay. So we cannot find any place in our Earth in nature has such very temperature minus some minus 160 plus. Okay, but we need to compress the natural gas below this value, so that that can be compressed more than I think 1,000 times smaller. Okay, that's why that can be installed inside the chemical tanks in the liquid form. In the liquid form. Okay, so that means the gas that's stored inside here that is in the liquefied form. Liquefied that means it's already become the liquid form. Okay, liquid. All right. So you need to maintain the gas in the liquid form. Okay, so it's super high technology. Okay. Um. However, it's interesting. This area or this temperature is already in so-called the cryogenics. Cryogenics, that means that which is already super cool condition. It's cooler than cool. Okay. So it's super cool conditions. So if you put the normal metal or normal materials inside this condition or normal rubber, so all of the material will change their behavior, right? They will become material will become what? Will become even the metals or will become super brittle, right? Akan jadi apa? Crystal. Huh? Okay. Okay. Yes. The material will become very brittle. Okay. So only a very specific uh, uh in the steel that is so-called EVA steel. Only this material managed to be perform still in the steel condition at this very low temperature. Understand? So that's why the fabrication of the LNG carrier will be super high tech because they need to they need to do the weldings of the EVA steel, and they need to make sure the tank must be fully covered by the EVA steel, but the EVA steel only is the thickness of the EVA steel inside the thickness of the EVA steel inside the inner wall of the each tank. Can you give a number how much we need the thickness? 7 mm. Okay, 7 mm inner steel. Then after 7 mm, there will be layer by the something the woods and also some isolated layer. Okay, so so for the tank, that you can imagine the tank is something like the what? Like the it's something like the thermo the thermo bottom the thermo bottle cup something like that okay, to keep the material in the very low temperature, but only the inner isolation is the EVA steel with the very thin layers. It's only 7 mm. Okay, and the EVA steel is also very sensitive to any damage or any impact. So super sensitive. Okay, okay. Can you imagine what if the welding is not properly conducted? If the welding is not properly conducted, for example, if they have any leakage if they have any leakage on the LNG, because of the say, you can imagine they can have some leakage during from the improper welding, right? So if something happen, so that means the liquefied gas they will be evaporate. They will be evaporate out to the ship. Okay, so that means they can imagine the ship is looks like satu bomb gas bomb. Okay, satu gas bomb okay, it's very dangerous okay, and the evaporation evaporation is the so-called is the normal evaporation as well. Okay. Can you give some name of the country who managed to build the LNG carrier in our world? Yes, Korea. Yes, Korea. Korea and any other country in the world managed to build LNG carrier? Okay, so I said it is something like the what? The manufacturer, China. Okay, yes, the manufacturer. So South Korea lah, South Korea. North Korea, I'm not sure lah. Uh, huh? South Korea, China, Japan, Japan. Mana lagi? Then some European country definitely lah. Okay, but in Asian only these three countries managed to build. Okay, in Asian country, only these three countries managed to build the LNG carrier. Okay, but you know, who owns the largest fleet of the LNG carrier? The world largest fleet. That means who has most LNG in our business? Once upon a time, Malaysia, MISC. Once upon a time, I'm not sure recently because they already do something like restructuring anywhere. But once upon a time, Malaysia has the world largest fleet. That means we have more than 100 plus LNG carriers in our Petronas business. And this fleet was managed by MISC. Okay, so because we have what? Because we have LNG business, right? Okay. Okay, one more question. Malaysia LNG was who is the buyer of Malaysia LNG case? Which country are the major buyers? Yes, Japan and else? China, yes. And yes, you say China. US I'm not sure. US has lots of LNG as well. So in fact US maybe no. Okay. Singapore maybe. Okay. Singapore will buy anything from Asia, right? So normally it's something like South Korea, Japan, Australia. Australia also have. Okay, and Taiwan. Somebody will believe Taiwan is not a country. Okay, I believe it. Okay, and China, Shanghai, and also some countries, and others countries. And that's why recently, in the so-called the war between Russia with the Ukraine, right? So Germany, in fact, they consume a lot of the LNG from Russia, right? So that is the reasons why the LNG prices getting very high right now, right? Because the European country, especially from the NATO countries, that don't want to buy the LNG from Russia. Okay, they don't want to buy LNG from Russia. That makes the US, in fact, United States, in fact, they have a lot of the LNG. United States have a lot of LNG, and normally they use the something like the it's shale gas. They use the shale gas technology. Shale gas technologies to produce the LNG. And also in United States, you see something like the United States, they have something Gulf of Mexico, right? Gulf of Mexico. Gulf of Mexico. Gulf of Mexico. They have a lot of the oil and gas platform, from Gulf of Mexico. Okay. So in fact, United States is very rich of the natural resources. Even California, California. When you watch the movie, right? California offshore, right? You know California. You know California, right? Okay. You know California first, definitely, right? I believe you know California, lah. Okay. Yes, Hotel California, yes. You know California, and you know the location of California as well, right? If you do not, you can check Google Map. Okay, very interesting. California is the most advanced states in United States. Okay, because their GDP is super high GDP. So that means it's rich, a very rich state. That could be said the richest states in the United States. Okay, but California, the main business of California is what? You know the Silicon Valley is right. So it's something like the Google, right? Okay, Uber, the IBM, no, Microsoft, okay, something like that. Yes, Apple, okay. So they are the so-called main business in the Silicon Valleys, so for the California, Amazon and Tesla, definitely lah, California. You know, everybody in California, they like to spin off any company. Okay. California. But California also rich with the oil and gas. Also, California rich of oil and gas. They have lots of oil and gas reservoir. However, United States do not want to they do not want to give the license for their operators to develop the oil and gas business in California. Okay, that's why you can see now the major business of the United States, the oil and gas is come from Gulf of Mexico. Okay, where is the state of the Gulf of Mexico? Texas, New Mexico, Georgia. Okay, yes, Houston is the Ibu Kota lah, is the capital of the of Texas. Okay, Houston. Yes, I stayed in Houston for many years. Okay, anyway. Oh yeah, yes. Mexico, New Mexico and Mexico. Okay. All right. So you know, that's why in United States, these two states was controlled by different party. The Republican and the Democrats. So the Democrats they control the states such as California because California has the Hollywoods, right? Okay, and the New York State. So the so-called a little bit advanced, but the tradition one such as Texas, that was controlled by the Republicans. The Republicans. Okay. So who is from the Republican? Donald Trump is from the Republicans. Okay, who is from the Democrats? Biden, Joe Biden. Okay. Anyway, yes. Okay, but in fact, their policy for to Malaysia and to the Southeast Asia is very similar lah. That you know has very different. Okay, the difference just between their internal or domestic economy. All right, so if you look for the shale gas in California, okay, why I talk like this? Because I would like to say that US has a lot of the reservoir for the shale gas. And shale gas, in fact, is one type of the natural gas as well. Okay. In other place of the world, definitely the Siberia or the Russia definitely they have a lot of the oil and gas reservoir. Okay. But I haven't talked to the oil and gas first. So later, I think, when I'm talking about the offshore structure such like the spa, I will talking a little bit regarding the oil and gas. Because you know, when I'm talking, I will talk very, very no stopping. Because my PhD is in offshore or ocean engineering. So I can talk 3 days, 3 nights for oil and gas. Okay, anyway, okay. Balik. Okay, back to fishing vessel. Fishing vessel. Okay. All right, so we go to the fishing vessel. You don't need to take extra note. You just. If you want pass on the link, I can share you some interesting information anyway. All right. So we go to the fishing vessel. Okay. Fishing vessel is like this. In Malaysia, our traditional fishing vessel is very, very different with this fishing vessel. This one is a fishing vessel in popular in North Sea. In North Sea. North Sea is the area for the UK and also from say Norway. The area lah. Okay. So for the fishing vessel, it's also another so-called we would say they have a lot of yes, they have a lot of big fish. Yeah, big fish and salmon fish, some fish. So when you go to IKEA or IKEA, right? you'll see they have something like the salmon fish, but the salmon fish in okay, I can show you a lot of interesting idea. The salmon fish in where? In North Sea, North Sea. North Sea. Okay. Salmon fish, North Sea. Okay. They also have another type of fish also in the area, but they was dominated by the fishermen from Iceland. You can see what kind of the fish. Yes, Scandinavian country. Okay, you can see another type of the fish also important in the Iceland. What is the fish? Yeah, the fairy maybe. Okay. Anyway, in Hawaii as well. Okay, in Hawaii. Hawaii is what? Hawaii also. Hawaii is US. Hawaii. Hawaii. Spell like this. Hawaii. Okay. Hawaii. Yeah. Hawaii. Okay. Hawaii is also good in salmon fish. Okay, salmon fish. First of all, you like salmon fish, right? Okay. Okay. I like real salmon fish anyway. Okay. You know one company named as Kampachi? 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 Kampachi. Okay, do you, okay. Let me do a quick search. Kampachi, right? They had Kampachi. Yes, Kampachi. Kampachi has one restaurant in Pavilion. Yes, Kampachi. In Pavilion, they have one Japanese restaurant named as Kampachi. In Pavilion KL lah. But Kampachi is a world class salmon fish producer in our world, and they have a very large fish farm in Hawaii. Okay, and you know they use the so-called the offshore fish farm technology to do the farming. And the farming was the fish directly. They put the fish directly in the very big catch. Okay, like the one that they show in the IKEA. So the Norwegian they also put their salmon fish in the very large big catch. Okay, and the water was directly come from the seawater. Okay, the seawater of the Hawaii. So Kampachi also do the same thing in Hawaii, and the Norwegian, such like the IKEA. So the IKEA is not Norwegian, it's actually this. Okay, but anyway, Norwegian, they also do the fish farm for the salmon fish. Okay, salmon fish can be in such farming system. Okay, but ikan kat Malaysia mungkin susah sikit. Okay, ikan kat Malaysia kita tak guna cara ini. Okay, okay. Anyway, for information, Malaysia normally we have also developed our fishing boat. Okay, so do you know in Malaysia? We have how many different class of our fishing boat? Anybody boleh kata? Any idea? We have how many types of the fishing boat according to the category? We have class A, class B, and class C. At least ada tiga major class. So for example, kalau class C that is managed to move up to, say for example 10 nautical meters out of from the so-called from the coastline, then stage by stage lah. Okay, but in Malaysia because our fishing so-called our fishing boat is relatively low tech lah, low technology lah. And because of some pandang larang, so the modernizations you know some fishermen they are very they have their own belief, right? So it's very difficult for us to to change their design. Okay, but anyway, we can still modernize the equipment. For example, the refrigerators. For example, the for example, the safety, the working space. For the fishermen. Okay, so in fact, in Malaysia recently, our fishery department, Jabatan Pekan, they also have come up with some ideas how to modernize the fishing boat in Malaysia. Okay, so I hope this project can be successful because UKM had involved in a similar project. So that means we hope our fishermen manage to get more comfortable and more safety walking environments by using the modernized fishing facility or fishing equipment from our local mates. Okay. All right. So we move to the next one. Okay. Beside the fishing pole or the say for the big ships, right? So in fact, we also have some very specific unique ships in our ocean or our maritime industry. Okay, this is so-called the anchor handling task supply. Normally, this one is one so-called the spatial ship. Spatial ship. Beside the anchoring handling, they have also such like the fire, something like the firefighting ships. They also have some ships such as the so-called the offshore supply vessel, the platform supply vessel, and also some ships, even that has some ship for the subsea surveillance, sonar, and also tugboats. Okay, so that such ships looks like the for the specific functions in our maritime industry. Okay, recently, they have some arguments for uh, about the so-called subsea fiber optic cable, right? So if you read the newspaper or if you read Facebook, okay, if you read the news, so you will know that something like that. They have some argument, right? So say Malaysia do not have the so-called enough enough we do not have they say we do not have the enough repair vessel for the subsea cable or subsea fiber optic cable repair, right? So that's the reasons why some big company such as the Facebook or Cisco, right? They want to urge and send the letters to our department, also to our prime minister, right? And then our Minister of Transportation want to defend our national shipbuilding. So they say there's something like that lah. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to political. But I just say the type of the ship is also types of the so-called specific ships. So and the so-called the ship that have the DP positioning, dynamic positioning tool and dynamic positioning tool is try to maintain the ship in the position with a very good GPS. And they managed to do some subsea lowering and subsea repairing. Okay, yeah, that is also something like the special equipment, but that is in the ship form, in the ship types. They build a specific equipment on the ship form, but the ship is not for the passenger, but it's something like the offshore activity. Okay, so I just want to highlight here that there is another type of the ships. Okay, so when we're talking about the ship structure, normally we are not really restrict ourselves to any one or two type of the ship structure lah. So if we try to understand first, different ship structure will have the different function, and different function also could have different ship structure. Another very typical ship structure is maybe such like the tugboat, right? Tugboat is for what function? Tugboats normally that is the boat has very large horsepower, very large horsepower because the tugboat is used to adjust the positions of the big ships when the big ships want to be something like the berthing or the docking. to the jetty or to the port. So the tugboats is also important. So but that is only served for specific purposes. Okay, so you also need to, as the naval architecture student in our UTM, so you need, when people are talking about the ships, so you need to know, yes, there are lots of the different type of ship in our on our waters, on our waters. Okay, all right. So that is something like the ship structure, and in fact, I try to introduce you a little bit such like the ship type, the type of the ship, right? Okay. We also need to see, beside the ship type, we also need the offshore structure type. Okay, so because the subject is named as ship and offshore structures, right? So we're also talking about the offshore structure type. Okay, I believe you heard about the spar, The spar and the spar and the spar. Okay, okay. Spar is one of the offshore structure type. You heard the spar before, no? Have you heard from other subject or before this class? Have you heard about the spar? Spar. It's SPAR, not SPA. SPA is another meaning. Okay, spar. Spar is a very interesting offshore structure. Okay, as you can see here, here have very different type of the spar. Okay, but basically the spar has one is a structure which has one major column. It's main columns. Columns. Column. How to spell column? Okay, a main columns. Okay, and yang atas itu, that one, this one is then what? This one? Anybody know? Top, top side. Okay, that means a columns, major columns to support a top side. Top side, Okay, and what? You see something like this, right? This is what? This one? The spar must be more on the seabed or more to the seabed. So that's why the spar need have some mooring line to the seabed. Okay, they must be connected to the mooring line. Okay, if you do not move the spar, so the spar will floating away lah. Okay, sayonara forever lah. Okay, so we must, when we want to put some also structure, we must make sure the so-called the positioning and the station keeping. Station keeping means you need to make sure the structure is on the location. So that's why we name as so-called station keeping. You keep on the station. Station keeping. That means we must make sure the structure manage to maintain on their location. Okay, spa. Okay. Okay. Let me ask you. Okay. Do you think Malaysian water or Malaysian offshore water? Do you think we have the spa structure or not? First question. Do you think in Malaysia offshore structure, offshore region, do we have spa or not? Yes.
Only one in Sabah.
Only one in Sabah. What is the name?
I'm not sure about the name.
Okay, I show you the name. This one. We have one in Sabah. Ticket. Ticket. This one. You can see, right? Okay. We have one spa in Sabah. Okay. Why I ask this question? Why I ask this question? Because you can see here about the spa location. Most of the spa they are in the Gulf of Mexico. See? Okay. This figure was, I think, was more than 10 years ago. But recently, I think recently, up to now, still majority of the spa still in the Gulf of Mexico. Okay. They have few outside Gulf of Mexico, say in Malaysia, Yes, in Malaysia and yeah, in Malaysia. Okay, there have some. Okay, in my radar, there is some others in certain countries, but more majority is in the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, because the spa was designed by techniques. Normally, it's come from techniques, but in fact, this concept is well proven. Okay, so-called um, hydrodynamically well proven. That means if you look for the theory, the spa in fact is very good because the spa is what? Because the spa can provide a very stable platform, for the application for the top side. Okay. However, spa is not a so-called a very conventional structure model before. Okay, before the first build. As you can see, the first build of the spa is very near, right? Huh? 1997, huh? Okay, but in fact, I think before that, they still have some spa, lah, huh? That Chim, okay. Right, the Chim, right? 1997, huh? Okay. Okay. So, you know this case, right? So that means why the people wait until quite late, huh? Uh, Only they wait until very recently. Uh, uh, that means they build the first bar, they build the first bar, compared with they build the semi-submersible. That means the first bar it looks very near to us because uh, even though it is a so-called well-proof concept, but normally the oil and gas company they want to become the first one. Normally they like to use the technology. They only be very confident. So that means um okay, I can repeat again. The oil and gas company, when they try to determine in the site which type of the offshore platform they could be used. So okay, normally they have some typical website platform says semi-submersible, semi-submersible, tension leg platform, spa, spa, and what? And FPSO, right? FPSO. Okay. So this is the four very typical types, very typical types, offshore platform. Okay. But before that, they also have some other, such as okay. This four type is what is a so-called the floating structure or floating offshore structure. So I say floating OS, floating offshore structure because it's floating, okay? And there was the connected to the mooring system to make sure the station keeping, okay? But before that, they also have some fixed structure as well, right? Fixed structure. Malaysia has a lot of fixed structure platform, such as what? Such as the jacket platform, jacket truss platform, jacket. We also we do not have but some country they have so-called jack up. Jack up is the jacket up. Jacket up, but they say jack up, jack up platform. Okay. Okay, fixed platform. That means this fixed platform compared with the floating offshore platform, the fixed platform is we have a rigid body, a rigid structure to be attached on the seabed. You got my point, right? Okay, something like that. So if you can see, say for example, this is the checkup, checkup, right? You see checkup, right? Checkup. Checkup platform, checkup platform is we managed to we try to build three or four major trust member. Okay, major trust member. This is trust, right? Trust something like the steel structure. Three or four macam chopstick lah. Okay, Then we try to slightly stand on the C pad by adjusting the jack member. I mean by adjusting the legs frame, the legs frame. Okay. So this is so-called the jack up member or jack up platform. Okay. Jack up platform comparatively is still a fixed structure. It's still a fixed structure member. Okay. Compared with the floating structure, so you can see the other three types is the floating structure. The TLP or tension leg platform, we do not okay. This is the few this one okay. In the tension leg platform, we make sure the buoyancy of the platform is strong enough so that the platform managed to generate a positive tension to the tendon or to the leg. Okay, this is the tension leg, or in other name we will say tendons. To the tendons or to the legs, and the tendons normally is what is the wire loops. Okay, is the wire loops. Few wire loops, few wire. Okay, it's wire loop or chain. What normally is chain, a big chain. Okay, wire steel chain. Okay. So the tension legs, they will make sure we have a very large buoyancy on the platform so that the platform managed to generate a very large buoyant force to create the tension effect on the tendon. Okay? Okay, we go to the SPA. The SPA. SPA is majority of the SPA hydrodynamic point of view. The SPA is in the so-called neutral buoyance. Neutral buoyance, that means if I lost my mooring, the tube or the major column, these major columns will still be maintained upright. Still will be maintained upright. Okay, but you can imagine if for the TLP, if I lost all of the tendons, so what will happen? The hull will capsize. Capsize means apa? Terbalik lah. Apa? Capsize lah. Capsizing. Upside down. Okay, upside down. Okay. However, for the SPA, if I lose all of the tendons or all of the mooring line, so the column still manage to maintain upright. Okay. And you can see the patterns of the mooring is we call as so-called catenary mooring or catenary shape. Catenary shape, it's something like a catenary. Okay, why? Because this is something like the so-called catenary is a shape is so-called something the free slack in the relaxed condition. Okay, catenary. Okay, then we have the semi-submersible. Okay, anyway, semi-submersible is very close to the PLP, but semi-submersible we also use catenary mooring. Okay, catenary mooring. Okay. Okay, now it's a quiz question. Quiz. Quiz. No prize quiz. Okay, but let me ask you. You know who is the major fabricator of jack-up in the world? This one. Who is the major fabricator of the jack-up of this world? No, Malaysia. Our neighbors. Okay. Singapore. Yes. Singapore. Dr. Xiao don't build the jack-up. Well, if Dr. Xiao build the jack-up, then we all super rich lah. Okay. When you heard about, say, for example, the Keppel, right? Keppel shipyard, Sembawang shipyard, Sembcorp, But normally it's Keppel, Keppel offshore. When you heard about Keppel Yard, or Jurong, definitely, okay, Keppel Yard. They are the major builder of the jacket. Okay, and you know who is the major buyer of their jacket or their jacket? Who? Okay, just now I asked who is the major fabricator, right? So yeah, Singapore Cables, right? But who is the major buyer? Who consume this jacket? Any idea? Um, no, 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 Malaysia. We don't want buy any structure from Singapore. Okay. Uh, okay. Brazil. Hmm? Brazil is the major buyer by using the checkup. Okay. You know, Malaysia Petronas, Brazil is Petrobras. Huh? Petrobras, Brazil. Okay. Petrobras. Petrobras is also a very rich, very rich company. Very rich company in Brazil because it is the national oil and gas company. Okay, similar like our Petronas in Brazil, there is Petrobras. I when I was in two years ago, 2 years ago before the COVID time. So when I attached in Portugal together with Dr. Xiao, right? So in our same office, they have one Brazilian. So he also working for checking the so-called the trust member analysis for the Petrobras, for the Petrobras. Okay. But Petrobras is not only use a checkup, they also has quite good in the new types of the floating structure. Okay. Okay. Now let me ask you we also have okay. Now you know we have a different type of the offshore structure, right? So again, floating type we have what? It is the TLP. This one is floating type, right? This one is what? R. This one is semi-submersible. Okay. Okay. Interesting. If you read in English, it is so-called semi-submersible. Semi-submersible. If you read in English, right? However, if you're working in future, if you work in outside, right, or if you intern in outside, right, so you cannot say semi, you know. You can semi. You must say semi submersible. Okay. You know why? Because semi submersible is the structure for US developer, and you know the US Texans they like talking their own accents. So you must say semi-submersible. Something like semi. Okay, cannot say semi-submersible. You say semi, then they don't know lah. They know lah you are for outsider lah. Okay, okay. Semi, semi. Okay. Anyway, what else? We still have one very important, still missing, right? Where is it? Where is our FPSO? FPSO, where is our SPS? FPSO, tak ada jumpa. Okay. Anyway, we have FPSO. Okay. Okay, now let me ask you. Do we have TRP in Malaysia? Yes or no? Do we have TRP in Malaysia? Any answer? Hello? Anybody there? Okay. Do we? Yes. Yes, yes. Okay. Yes, we have TRP in Malaysia. And the TRP name is we have TRP in Malaysia, and the TRP name is Mankai. Okay. In offshore Sabah. Okay. Do we have a spy in Malaysia? The answer is yes. The name is okay. Okay. This one is not in the exam, so not worry lah. Okay, just for information sharing. Okay. chit chat. Do we have semi in Malaysia? Semi-submersible in Malaysia? Ada tak? Yes. The answer is yes. We have semi-submersible in Malaysia. The name is Kumusuk. Kumusuk. Okay, do we have FPSO in Malaysia? The answer definitely yes. Yes. So we have almost every type of in fact, we have every type of the floating structure in our Malaysian water or on the Malaysian oil and gas map. We have all of these four types in Malaysia oil and gas map. Oh, okay. And the major hull for the PLP and for the Kumoso was built in MMHE. You know MMHE? The shipyard in Basikudan, in Basikudan, Johor, right? So that means during the oil and gas developments, that means during the booming time lah. Okay, where is the booming time? 2015 to 2015. Okay, during the booming time of Malaysia offshore oil and gas area, right? So we managed to develop all of the four types of the floating structure, and we reserve a lot of our nation on experts to build the floating structure. So Malaysia, in fact, we have a very good strategy in building our offshore floating ability. No? Yeah. We are a real mature oil and gas, offshore oil and gas country. Malaysia memang boleh kat sini. You know? It's true Malaysia boleh sangat bangga. Okay. But unfortunately, after 2015, the oil price went down, the oil price getting okay. So most of the offshore project is going, getting frozen. So there's we lost a lot of opportunity. So many of the offshore experts need to find other jobs. Okay. Now we're not sure how, because now the oil price is getting better. Okay. So hopefully in future, if Malaysian have better opportunities for the offshore structure, now hopefully I believe if the most important is if you graduated, you easy to get the job offer working in the offshore structure design, then the market is already really going up. So hopefully you are in the lucky batch. Okay. All right. Okay. Malaysia also have the world first FLNG, Biji pertama FLNG production. So yes, we have the FLNG 1 and 2. Okay. Do you know who is the builder of FLNG 1? Builder. I'm asked the builder. Builder. Yes, Korea. Mana? Daewoo yes, Daewoo lah. TSME lah. TSME. FLNG 1. TSME. FLNG 2? I think it's Samsung, right? Samsung Heavy Industry, right? If I'm not mistaken. Okay. I still put the question mark here. Better. So if you want to know FLNG 1 and 2, better you ask Ayala Rostin. Ayala Rostin is the project manager for the FLNG 1. So if you still have the chance to meet him, because I think he just complete his mission as our adjunct professor lah. So I'm not sure either in future he has the opportunity to meet us again. Then you can ask him lah. regarding some project management experience of the FLNG one. Okay, but I have been in the SME yacht before, so there is a very huge yacht, very amazing yacht. Okay, yeah. In South Korea, how many percent of their work power is working in shipping and shipbuilding and so-called the offshore industry? How many percent of their work manpower? You see, around 7%, Oh, it's huge number. Very huge number. I think 7% of Malaysian probably we are working in the ladang, you know. Because that's why we have the very good palm oil industry. Ramly burger. No, that's why our Ramly burger also world class, If we have enough population to work in one industry, definitely the industry will be booming. So Malaysia has very unique area. We are not really maybe if you listen ask for my senior, maybe they will talk different. Maybe they will say, why not we are working for the heavy industry, blah, blah, blah. But from my point of view, if you really interest to work in any industry or any business, yeah, this is your second choice. So why not, right? So the more it's important is you really manage to find what is the so-called suitable for you. Okay, so I think I need to okay. I try to retort a little bit for the week one lecture because I think the video from Dr. Yasin populated is focusing on the some techniques. But I try to re-explain a little bit based on my understanding. Okay, but lastly, you can see something like this one. What is it? POP, riser, subsea. So this equipment is so-called the subsea module. Subsea module. So earlier they have one subject I think is named as subsea pipeline and so on. So now Dr. Seo teach that subject. So in future, if you have the opportunity, maybe you will take the subsea module. Okay, subsea module. Okay, and in University of Houston, they has one master is master of science bracket subsea engineering. Okay, how do I know that one? Because my friends graduate from there. Okay. So in the subsea, you can also see they have some UOV and ROV, so subsea robotic as well. To check about the subsea module. Subsea is the industry when we want to um, avoid for the very harsh environments of the ocean. Okay, I have two stories I would like to share with you. Before we dismiss this part, the first part section. Okay. Can I talk two story? Short one, short one. Okay. The first story is a few years ago. Few years ago. Okay. When just now I talking okay. Just now I talk one case is um the oil and gas operator that prefer to choose their system, they become more familiar, okay, rather than the new system. That is the reason why the spa was built very recently with the common share of the risk in one so-called the joint industrial project. Okay, that means many companies they want to work together, then finally they build the system. So they will share the common risk from this project as well. But few years ago, my first story is few years ago when I joined one industry seminar in where? I think around in California, yes, California. They are talking about one project in South China Sea, hosted by China, and the project name is called a so-called V1 project. V1 project is close to Hong Kong, I believe. is in the something like the southern part of China, but very close to Hong Kong. The presentation is very interesting, but I think very weird, because they are not going to use the offshore floating platform for certain area, which is already, say, for example, more than 1,000. Uh, in fact, they are. Okay, let me sketch slightly. The the seabed shape is something like this. Huh? Yeah, okay. I try to sketch something like that. The seabed is something like this. Okay, and definitely here something. Okay, okay. The seabed cross section strap it looks something like this. You know, especially in the South China Sea. Continental shelf, okay, we have one area named as continental shelf. That means our ocean will be slightly shallow. Uh, they say this is a sea surface. Sea surface. That means our ocean will be the water depth will be slightly shallow until a distance, and after this distance. Okay, so this area we name as continental shelf. Continental shelf natural extension from the continents. So that's why it's so-called continental shelf. And the so-called the southern drops is the so-called is the boundary between the continental shelf and the ocean shelf. So that's why this type of the geographical pattern is very common in the South China Sea region. Okay, so if you look for the if you look for the mid-ocean measurements for the South China Sea, you will see something like this. Okay, so the oil and gas region is around something like around this region. So that means so normally when I study in the traditional so-called traditional US, right? Traditional US. When I study, right? So my teacher taught me this is the best combination. That means I try to build a plotter. Then because of this is already same, the water depth is already maybe more than 1,000 meter, right? So this is the best one, best combination, direct and easy. Okay, direct and easy. However, the Chinese oil and gas operator for the new one, their their solution is very different. They try to build a jacket here in the shallow water region. Then they build the subsea pipeline connected from here to here to here. You get my point, right? So that means they build the structure far away horizontally from the oil reservoir, but they connect the jacket structure with a very long subsea pipeline. So that means the subsea pipeline they need to pump in more than 1 kilometer up the oil and gas. Okay, yes, that's why a lot of the experts from the conference, right? We try to ask them why you want to this one because it looks a very costly, um, and finally they gave us the answer is they say they they have the better technology in jacket. Okay, the answer is they say they have the admit that they have the better technology in jacket because previously most of their structure they use jacket. They use jacket, but that is many years ago lah. I think it's 8 years ago, 8 years ago. But recently, the Chinese oil and gas developer, they already become very, very fast. They already do very, very fast. So we think, now the Chinese oil and gas developer, so I meet some of them before, then after that I try to meet them in some other occasional. So now they already have the very good system for the offshore floating system. So that means within a very short period, they managed to catch up the many years experience from the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, they're really fast. They're really powerful and really fast their development. Okay. So and also they already have their DP system, their yes, almost all of the sub-servicing package they already have their own replacement. So it's very powerful for them. And they are subsidized solar energy. So wow, and the development of the subsidy renewable energy is very, very advanced because they got lots of the money to build it. Okay, anyway, all right. So this is a story I'd like to share with you. So that means the moral of this story is sometimes when you see and when your boss choose different structure, which that the structure looks like not very technically correct, but in fact they are become they're more familiar with such structure. Okay. So this is the first moral of the story. Then the moral then also um I would like to say the industry is always developed. So we used to in a very advanced position in the Southeast Asia for the Malaysia oil and gas. Okay, but because of the oil price, our country is too because that's why it's very affected by the oil price. So I'm not sure how about right now. What I mean, not sure is I'm not sure either our future will still be so-called in the big development such as the protein structure. But I can quite sure is Malaysia has a lot of the fixed structure jacket. And most of the fixed structure jacket is already in the so-called end of life cycle. That means most of the in Malaysia we have a 400 plus jacket, 400 plus, and many of the jacket they are going to be commissioned. That means the operators such as Petronas, they need to, because the oil field already depleted, so they need to take back the structure. And that is the part they cannot avoid from their responsibility or their liability. So offshore structure decommissioning will become a very important issue soon, very soon. Okay, that means how to um, how to move the structure safely back to the coastline. Okay, I have some research student working in the area as well. So in future maybe I can share with you more interesting results. Okay, so I think that's part for the first week lecture. Wow, okay, it's also quite long lecture. So allow me to stop for a while. Okay. I end the recorder. So, okay, class. So now if okay, maybe you can have a 5 minutes rest. Then I will continue for the week two lah. Okay. But it's also feel free to you can feel free to ask me any question or feel free to give me some opinion. Yeah. But you also can go to for example go to take a rest, short rest, 5 minutes. So we will drive back 3:55. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, so I'm back, but officially we can start 3:55. Okay, let me see the chat box. Do you have anything? Okay, just now I see one question. Hmm, 51. Okay, if you miss to scan the attendance, also please you can try now lah. Okay. Okay, Shafi asks, if they have so many option structure to be performed, will there be enough option structure built to replace the old one? And okay. Yes. Why we want to build the structure? The issue is okay. We build the structure for some purposes, right? So normally we build the structure we found at the location. The location has the oil reservoir. Okay, for the oil and gas industry lah. Okay, so um, we will decomp the structure if the oil in the particular area has already been depleted. That means no more oil. Okay, so that means we don't need to. In fact, we don't need to build a new structure to replace the old structure. If the oil is already depleted, understand? So that means we will build new structure if you found new oil reservoir. Okay. So how do we manage to find a new oil reservoir? Is we need to do a lot of the exploration. That means we need to do a lot of the offshore searching, exploring, seismic measurements. Okay, scanning, okay, for certain area, okay. As you can see from some recently newspaper, Petronas awarded supply energy, right, with certain topic contract for the offshore exploration activity in certain block areas of the Malaysian offshore area. Okay, so in that case, if they manage to find the new reservoir, and if the reservoir is so-called is have value enough to be developed, then the business arm will try to build a structure, the new offshore structures for the oil and gas production on such particular oil reservoir. Okay. In fact, not all of the reservoir found in the world are so-called are in the operations. They have a lot of the reservoir called as so-called the marginal field. What is a marginal field? The marginal field is if we use the original methods to produce the oil from the field, then maybe the profit is not so handsome, right? That means the profit could not be very um, could not be very attractive. Okay, maybe because of the year of production is too short, or maybe the total revenues or total reservoir is too small. So the area is so-called the marginal field. Okay, the marginal field. So how to solve the marginal field is in future there could be have one method is if you manage to advance the drilling technology. Say recently originally the offshore drilling technology is they just use the vertical drilling, right? So right now they also managed to use the horizontal drillings. That means the footprints of the control areas the for single platform now can become larger if they manage to use the horizontal drillings to drill the pipes which manage to control the larger area. Okay, and with such technology, that can be a one good way for the marginal field to be grouped together. Okay. Another way is maybe they will develop the more powerful subsea module so that they will be in the so-called subsea cluster, and finally they only need to build one or few one offshore platform to centralize and try to be control for large areas of the subsea field with the marginal field. Okay, so that means always the people looking for the cost-effective method and cost-effective technology in the oil and gas offshore field development. Okay, so Daniel asked, what happened if the sea and the natural ones they know that? Okay, okay. Good question. Um, yes. So normally in Malaysia and in Sabah and Sarawak and also in Brunei, so we will divide our offshore region into different blocks, right? Different blocks. Okay. And but in our offshore region, there is not only have one user, Just like you mentioned, they could have the fisherman, fishing industry. They also could have the marine transportation industry, marine transport, marine traffic. They also could have some marine protection park. Some area is something the observatory for the navy. Yeah, they have a lots of the user. Not only oil and gas, but what if suddenly is they found, oh, this area is rich of the oil and gas or rich of hydrocarbons, okay, so definitely this area will be arranged by our governments, right, to to the to the so-called reserve area. They will become a reserve area for the offshore oil reservoir activity. And some relocation maybe also need to deal with the fishing activity or fisherman activity, or they call the conflict, the stakeholder with conflict of interest. The stakeholder with conflict of interest. So they need to definitely they need to deal with them. So for example, if I think for some of the project in offshore Sabah, right? So the conflict of interest is not only the offshore activity, but definitely the nearby certain branch of the offshore platform, the fishing activity cannot be conducted anymore, especially the fishing activity with the trawler. Trawler, that means they need to tali buka, okay, the trawler. So because the trawler will damage sometimes will damage the subsea pipeline. Okay. And if the trawler damage the subsea pipeline, or if the anchor, normally they're very wonder about the anchor of the fishing boat, or any tugboat, right? So the anchor will hopefully damage the pipeline and makes the oil and gas spills. So that's why such activity for the others stakeholders will be prohibited at certain area if the area is already become the oil and gas. Okay, so I'm talking about the one, but how about the natural habitats, right? For example, if they have so-called the sea coral, right? Sea coral, or the fish, or the Nemo fish, right? Fighting Nemo, Nemo fish, right? Okay. Uh, okay. I don't know. Okay. In fact, I know lah. Okay. Yes. The yeah. Okay. Maybe they will have some so-called activity lah to relocate the to relocate the sea coral lah. If they want to make something lah. Otherwise, okay. Otherwise, nobody knows. Okay. Okay. But definitely they need to so-called to fulfill some of the requirements of the so-called the environmental policy. Environmental policy. Okay. Definitely oil and gas industry right now, the major challenge is they need to reduce the carbon footprint. You know about the carbon footprint, right? Carbon footprint. That means now every country we have the quotas of the carbon emissions. Okay, so yeah, so the carbon footprint need to be reduced. But oil and gas industry, especially this the hydrocarbon industry, right? So how they manage to reduce the carbon footprint by their original technology? So is they probably will use some technology such as when during the oil and gas production, they will also generate a lot of the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Okay, and the carbon dioxide will long time ago they just release the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. But they will cause too much the carbon, so-called carbon footprint for such activity, and then the level the oil and gas industry is so-called is a very high carbon high carbon footprint industry. So it's not good, it's not green. Okay, so that's the reason why recently the how to reduce the carbon footprint also become a very important issue, especially in their PR or public relations publicity. For example, they can use the so-called CO2 sequestration. That means they try to pump in the CO2 to the seabed. They pump in the CO2 to the seabed, to the reservoir, to exchange the what? To exchange the oil. Okay, but they not only use the so-called they not only use the seawater, but they also pump in the CO2. Okay, inside the reservoir. Okay, but nobody know about the effect in the long term because this is a relatively new technology. So the geologics it's not so support for such solution. But they also have some any others method. For example, they still use the traditional methods, but they will try to they try to plant some new tree in other places. For example, they try if they produce certain, for example, if they produce certain footprint from the oil and gas industry activity, they need to cover back by planting, say, 1,000 pokok, 1,000 pokoks in Pahang or 10,000 pokok in Perak or Sarawak, for example, like this. Okay, so that means right? So the outside maybe the carbon dioxide is not directly from their it's not the directly carbon dioxide from their production, but in the so-called in their balance sheets, they managed to reduce certain